we are. Jizzo
Yeah.
Chats. Jizzo Chats here with my good buddy, Chad Stewart.
How are you, Jizzy?
How we doing?
Well, aside from some computer glitching, everything's good.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I want to know what love is, Chad.
Well, Jiz, I want you to show me.
I want you to show me.
Oh, well, I could get dangerous.
So, yeah. All right. Well, let's get the Wikipedia nonsense going first.
Right.
Chad plays in Faster Pussycat. And how long you been with that band?
22 years.
Jesus Christ. I didn't realize it was that long. Do you get a plaque or something?
Yeah, it'll be 23 in June.
Wow.
So, yeah, long
Crazy.
long effing time.
Yeah, definitely. And you played with me in LA Guns
I
for
did.
a couple of years with Tracy.
Yeah.
And we did an LH tour. You played with me and Michael Thomas and
Yep.
I forget who played bass.
Brian Saunders played bass on that run.
Okay, right on. He was a good bass player.
Great bass player.
Yeah, we did some stuff in Europe, and we did crazy tour shenanigans.
We did LA Guns all over the world.
Yes, we did. I was thinking about that time that we got caught in Charles de Gaulle Airport. Remember, we had to spend the night
Sleeping on cardboard boxes.
Yeah, just like, homeless outside your door in LA.
My door, exactly.
LA is now the land of enchantment.
Yeah, some could call it that, or
yeah, it's crazy. So you played with me in LA Guns, played with me in LH. We did a tour, and you played in Faster, and you've played in a couple of other bands that I'm sure I don't.
Yeah, and I've done a bunch of fill-in stuff. I filled in for Enough's Enough for a long period of time. I was filled in for who I pick. If they were from the 80s, chances are I filled in for them at one point or the other.
Or if they were in their 80s.
Yeah, or that, yes.
And you are doing a summer tour with what's the name of this alleged tour?
Sonic Slam 2022 with
Sonic
Tom Kiefer.
Slam.
Faster Pussycat, yeah.
No, with Tom Kiefer and LA Guns with
Tracy
our
and Phil.
pal. You will once again be on that bus from hell.
Yes, well, it's just us on the bus, so it won't be quite as hellish as some tours where we've had two bands on one bus.
Yeah, I remember that one time that we toured with LA Guns and Faster on the same bus, and it's when everyone smoked.
Yeah.
And thank God, I mean, Tammy doesn't smoke anymore or whatever, but I remember the whole front lounge was blue.
Yeah.
With smoke.
Well, I think you and I were the only two people that didn't smoke.
Yeah. That's where I first got the black lung. I had to.
Yeah, well, maybe.
Yeah, that was nightmarish, definitely. We'll get back to that. So, how are things? Are you getting ready for this tour? When's it start?
It starts June 1st in real close to Albany, New York. It's mostly East Coast to, I don't think it goes any further west than Central Texas and Missouri, Kansas, St. Louis, that kind of area. I don't think it goes any further west than that for now. I've heard rumblings of another leg. I don't know when that's going to be, like for the West Coast stuff, but for now, that's what it is. And that goes until, I think it's August 1st or 2nd. And then we've got some dates on our own coming. Well, we've got some dates on our own going out in May. Dates on our own coming back.
I'm surprised you're not playing M3.
We did it last year.
Yeah. You're usually a staple on M3 for sure.
They like to switch it up. So maybe next year, who knows?
Or maybe something happened. You don't want to talk about it.
Well, I don't think anything really happened. We changed booking agents, and our old booking agent is a key factor in the booking of M3. So it might have had a little something to do with it, but
I think under the hand of
try not to get into the politics.
Yeah. Let's try not to burn any bridges in this
right,
short.
Exactly.
But we
Yeah.
will get into your general shittiness. But let's
Good.
let's focus on a
Focus
specific
on the here and
part.
now.
Let's focus on a specific aspect of your shittiness.
Oh, please, let's.
You are not from Los Angeles. You are from Zanesville, Ohio.
I am indeed.
And I know because I've spent many a weekend days off on the road at your parents' house in Zanesville with your fellow Zanesvillians.
Yes, you have. They are an illustrious group.
That's right. Hot Wings and Michelob Ultra.
Yep, exactly. Busch Light now seems to be the thing.
Yeah. Good times though. Good times.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the Faster? You guys, how many records did you make with Faster in this 23-year fiasco?
Not a lot. He's slow on the draw. I did the Power and the Glory Hole in 2004, I think, and that was our first recording of original music,
right?
Since the band's reincarnation. And then I did the live record in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's it until the last single and cover was released here this past year. And then there's more in the chamber, but we'll see how fast.
Well, I get it. You got to find the right label. You got to find the right.
Not only that,
I know
you play
behind
live
the scenes. You were telling. I know for a fact that you've had some hits and misses with some labels and haven't quite.
And there's been a lot of stop start too on this. Changed guitar players. We've changed producers. Been kind of back and forth for quite some time.
You were in the band with Brent Muscat, right? He was in the band with you in the earlier.
Yes.
Okay, right on.
2000, when the band got back together, it was the three original guys: Brent, Greg, and Tammy, and then Danny and I.
How is Danny doing?
He's upright. I just talked to him this morning. Believe it or not, he had
on two legs now.
He had not cracked his first Budweiser yet, and it was almost 11 o'clock. So I got a little worried. I don't like it when his schedule gets off. Everything gets a little sketchy then.
I mean, just that small break of sobriety is enough to drive anyone mad.
Exactly. Well, he doesn't really. His balance is completely off if he doesn't have a couple of Budweisers in him before he gets out of bed.
I want to talk about one thing. I remember I saw you guys when you were on a Poison tour, and this was a long time ago.
Yeah.
And
2002 to be exact.
Okay, and that was during your Waffen SS period.
Postapo, as we preferred to call it.
You must have freaked the shit out of people because Brett comes out singing "Every Rose Has Its Thorn," and then it was Doucheland Uber Allies.
Yeah, that was an interesting first day. They were all waiting for us in our dressing room when we got off stage. Like, what the hell are you guys thinking? And it was pretty simple. Most of that tour was sheds, so it was outside. Most of it we were going on at 6:30, 7 o'clock, sometimes 6, sometimes 5:30 at night.
Right.
The rules of the venues or whatever. So we were in broad daylight, most time peak daylight. So there was no light show there. We weren't allowed to do any sort of staging or any of that because we were first on the bill of 4.
So with all that in place, you guys were thinking swastikas.
Well, no, we didn't. There was never a swastika to be seen. It was more like the Pink Floydish. I mean, yes, the armbands were there, but they had a skull on them. There was no.
Yes, admittedly, there were swastikas.
No, armband was there, but there was no swastika. It had a skull. It was more like, well, I mean, Pink Floyd did it in the 70s. We just kind of a nod from them.
Yeah, in this internet, I just remember showing up and I was a little shocked and awed, actually.
Well, it made for
hey,
I'll give it that.
You were doing your thing, man. You were you were young and you were, going for it.
True. And it turns out, around 42, terrible people, snazzy dressers.
Shitty humans.
Shitty, very well dressed shitty humans.
So you guys, your band is well known for being road dogs, and you go out consistently for months and months at a time. Most bands don't really do that. I mean, speaking for myself, we usually do the fly out things, but you guys kind of have stuck old school on the bus. I mean, just like, for example, for people that haven't been on a bus and don't know what it's like and stuff, describe a typical day with you guys.
Well, let's get back to the bus in general. Most bands of our ilk do the weekend flyout dates because taking a bus on the road is really expensive.
Right.
Actually, I was just talking to Kelly from Night Ranger yesterday, and he was like,
"Did you see it?
I
got an Aces and Ales shirt on in honor of your boy."
So yeah, with the skull people. See?
Yeah, hops and skulls. We're all about the hops and skulls.
See? So anyway, back to the bus thing. It's really expensive to take a bus out, especially these days. Since it happened, prices and inflation and everything else, prices have gone through the ceiling. I mean, it was before times, it was expensive to take a bus out. Now it's ridiculously expensive. So for those of you who don't know how this works, you have to pay for the bus, which is, any upwards of 500 something a day. Then you're dealing with fuel. Then you're dealing with the driver's pay.
And you're pulling a trailer.
And plus you're pulling a trailer. So there's that expense involved in that. So you're underwater automatically before you even leave the house, which is why most bands these days don't do it, because, you guys will get on an airplane and fly to the gig and everything will be backlined and you guys will do that. But Tammy doesn't
side note, everyone thinks that we bring all our own gear, and nobody really brings their own gear. They might bring a head once in a while. Well, I know you do because you're carrying it, but I'm saying people, that do flyouts have their drum sets and amps, et cetera, delivered to the gig. It's part of the production costs. But you guys, because you're pulling a trailer, you carry your own gear, obviously.
That, it's really important to Tammy to have all our own stuff for it to sound consistent every night. That's kind of his big thing. Plus, as you've been to many a Faster show, there's a lot of merch.
You guys are all about the merch, for sure.
Yeah. So there's got to be a way to get that much merch venue to venue. And really, it doesn't make sense to do it any other way other than the way that we do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, look, I've done it for a long time and I like it. Some people don't like being on a bus.
No,
I enjoy it.
Same reason I like it. It's because you get consistently better and better and better. The more nights you play in a row together, the more nights you hang out together, the better the unit gets. And that's no joke.
And it's less tiring. Airports, going to airports back and forth, it's exhausting. Whereas on a bus, you just go to bed when you're tired and wake up and you're in the next town. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Or in your guys' case, you don't wake up until the next.
Because we're still up.
Yes.
We've kind of cranked that down.
I was gonna say, I know that Tammy has been sober 5 years, and congratulations to him.
Amen.
I remember I saw him right when he got sober, when we were playing at Bannerman's.
Oh, in Scotland.
Right. I just did your boy Christian, and we were talking about it, and I was congratulating. I mean, and he looked great. And obviously, at a certain point when you get older, you just can't do it like you did when you were in your 20s. I mean, it's
impossible.
It is. So basically you've trimmed down to what, 1 8-ball a night, and
a lot less than that. So
okay, good.
It's pretty much Budweiser's and maybe a shot or two, but aside from that, it's pretty low key these days.
It was pretty Caligula-esque back in the day.
It was bedlam there for a while. Hey, listen, and again, it gets to a point where you've done it. I mean, you've done it all. I mean, what more is there to do? Well, death, I suppose.
More black.
Yeah. the next step. I suppose you could really go up the ante on it if you wanted to. But yeah, I mean, if you want to do this with any more longevity than what we've done, especially at our age, you got to kind of.
Well, I gotta say, I think one of the reasons people like you guys is that you are old school rock and roll and you deliver that kind of sleaze, whatever you want to call it, but it's real. I mean, it isn't a put on. And I think that that's one of the reasons for your guys' longevity and popularity is that what you see is what you get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, that's the other thing too. It's like when people come to the shows, like we don't like hide out in the bus. We're always out. We're on the Monsters of Rock cruise and we're on the cruise. We're out mingling with them, and everybody, all the fans are like, "Holy shit, these guys are actually these guys are for real." Like, and I think people dig that. It gives it a real a common ground.
Well, I dig it. It's kind of like when David Lee Roth started putting iced tea in his Jack.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? You guys don't have iced tea in your Jack. If you're going to drink Jack, you're going to drink Jack. And speaking for myself, I mean, I'm sober now. God, almost 4 years. It's nutty. But I had my time and it was fun. You know what I mean? We had good times.
Yeah, we had.
Let's talk about that. I rejoined LA Guns in 2009. And I remember you guys were playing Vegas and you had Marty Casey as your singer.
Right.
And you were playing some shithole. And actually the place that you're playing is where the Allegiant Stadium is now.
Okay.
They bulldozed that place.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it was like over an old Indian burial ground. And Allegiant Stadium is where they play. Anyway,
everything just got sucked into the ground.
That's right. Long story short, you guys called me to sing a song or two with you guys and for fun. And I showed up and I ended up giving you guys a ride home to the casino where you were staying. And I'm driving and we were just talking back and forth and Marty was going, "Yeah, these songs are hard, man. I mean, they're hard." And I go, "Yeah, I mean, they're hard, but I dig them." And he goes, "Yeah, I mean, I can't sing them like the old Phil did all the time. I mean, who can?" And I go, "Well, I can." And then, oddly enough, I think
there you are.
Yeah, a month later, Tracy called me up and we went on, the hardcore tour. I mean, we were in the band doing it old school. You, me, Jeremy, and Tracy.
Yeah, that was a great band. And
we were a good band.
Around the world a few times.
We were a good band. I mean, you and I sang harmonies, and it was a very good chemistry. Yeah, and it was great. I mean, Tracy is a great guitar player. I mean, I've said that a million times. And it was fun. We were a good band. It was fun. And even then, I mean, there was another LA Guns. It's
right.
Ironic.
Well, that was a weird history in Tracy's, let's just call it Tracy's version of the band's history, because we had gone to Canada and made a record. We spent almost 2 full years making a record in Canada with, I'm not even getting into who was involved.
Yeah.
Well-named producer, big production team. It was a lot of money spent. And literally we lived in Canada. We were flying back and forth. Like we were there 3, 4, 5 months a whack trying to get this record done. And then the whole thing imploded. Mm-hmm. And Marty's like, "Well, the record's not going to come out. It's kind of silly for me to go on." And to be fair, the record that was being made was not an LA Guns record. It was a great record. Mm-hmm. But it was more modern rock than it was an LA Guns record. And I don't, even if it had been released, I mean, I know a lot of people would have dug it because it was a great record and it sounded great, but I don't know that, like, if you called it LA Guns, that it would have crossed the barrier. You know what I mean? And then we had the opportunity to re-release Drinking Violet,
right,
and do a couple extra songs, which turned out great. I mean, the remaster on that was killer, and we went out and toured that for a few years, and then ended up with the other live record that we did, the acoustic record, which is
Acoustic Gypsy, yeah, that we recorded near your house.
yes, right down the street from my house in LA, which regardless of what some people say about that record, I stand behind that record 100%. It was completely live. We did it took the best of the takes from the 2 days. And yeah, I know some people weren't as thrilled with it or whatever, but I dug it.
Yeah, it is what it is. When you do a live record, and a lot of live records aren't live, I think people kind of know that
Right.
if you listen to Frampton Comes Alive, it's basically Frampton and gang and in the studio fixing, you know what I mean? But our record,
there was none of that.
warts and all,
Yep.
was live. And I don't even have a copy of that fucking record.
I bet you don't have a paycheck from it either. Anyway.
Yeah, actually, I don't. But be that as it may, yeah, we did a bunch of touring in Europe. We played a bunch of places, and it was fun. I mean, we did Spain, we did Italy,
we did South America. Do you remember? We did South America. Remember we went to Brazil?
Right.
Remember this? We played that festival in Brazil, and we opened for Living Color.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on at 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And they went on at like 5:45 a.m. And it had been going all night, and they were the headliners. That was insane.
Yeah.
That was nuts. Those people were going out of their minds.
I just remember being backstage, and it was getting to be 3 a.m. and I'm just going, you know what I mean? I mean, how many cups of coffee can one man have? You know what I mean? But they're on a different time schedule. And you know what I mean?
They're on a different body clock schedule. Those people will rock it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, it was good. And then we played Sao Paulo. We played Buenos Aires. We played up in Brazil. Yeah. It was crazy. It was crazy.
We did Rio.
Remember we did Japan?
Yep.
Remember we did Japan? That's when Danny was playing with the band.
Yes.
And we played this. It was a school. It was an ESP school, kind of like a.
It's where they teach them to. It's like a Luther building,
like a musician's institute.
Building guitars, right?
Where they teach sound, where they teach lights, where they teach roadies, where they teach. It was like under this huge umbrella. And I remember we were playing the gig, and Danny's bass went out, and this Japanese kid runs to the stage, grabs his bass, runs off, and then within 30 seconds, the thing was refretted, completely changed the pickups.
They fixed his strap, like they welded like two pieces of metal onto the two pieces of leather.
It was like now your guitar is 40 times more efficient.
Right. He's still got that strap on that bass. It's still the same. In a 30-second
crazy
Japanese kid.
Japan is weird like that, because they have the weird toilets that have the built-in bidets and stuff. You know, awesome for some.
Yeah.
Like when you're pushing buttons and all of a sudden you get a colonic while you wait.
Well, at least it sings to you while it does it.
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, you really know that you're in a foreign country. When you're in Japan, it is a total different culture.
It's like Blade Runner.
Yeah. You're walking around, and there's weird shit and pots that they eat, like octopus tentacles and stuff.
Right, yeah, coming out of the stew, like
it's odd.
Smoldering.
It's totally weird, but it was good. Yeah. It was good. It was fun. Yeah, well, we toured Europe, and like I said, we got stuck in Charles de Gaulle Airport overnight, and there was probably people had been stuck in that airport for 5 or 6 days, and it was almost Christmas, and they were telling us, you probably won't get home for Christmas because for some reason it was all effed up, and people were going crazy. There was dudes with machine guns chasing people because they were losing their minds. And
If you recall, the place was out of food. There was no, like they had to truck in food and water.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a third world, disaster relief center.
It was, and it looked weird. I mean, I remember taking pictures, and it looked like everyone was asleep, and it looked like Jonestown, where everyone was laying all over each other and stuff, because they gave everyone blankets. It was
Kool-Aid, turned out.
We got out thanks to our crew guy, Paul Markham.
Yep.
Who basically, because he's such a big, scary dude, he cut in line and nobody said anything. You know what I mean? So thanks to him, we got out of there.
And he went to the one guy that he thought looked like he dug rock and roll, and said, "Look, I have an issue. I got to get my guys back. We've got shows. It's for Christmas. We've got to get back, or we're gonna kill us." And
a lot of shenanigans. A lot of shenanigans has happened. Remember when we had that? We had an opening band with a bus, and the opening band, the Italian band.
Yes.
Remember with the bass player that we were. Yeah, remember him, Count Dracula?
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, and the opening band to be on our tour basically paid for our bus, the bus we were on. And they were just kids. I mean, they were, green, inexperienced. And I think they got really drunk the first night of our tour, and they lost all their merch. They left their merch at the gig. And then the second or third night, the singer lost her voice because she was out partying. I remember I was in the bus looking at, and I'm watching her walk around with this wine bottle. And I'm thinking, oh, here we go. You know what I mean? This is Jizzo, 1989.
He is.
And, but yeah, I mean, good times and bad times, you know what I mean? Because what happened was you have to keep paying for the bus, or the bus pulls over and will dump your shit out in the middle of the road. And we kept having to get pulled over, and they kept having to wire their family for more money to pay for the bus. Those poor guys, they lost a lot of money.
They did. It's still not the worst European bus story that I have, though, because we flew to start a tour, and it was the dead of winter, and we were meeting a Russian band in Copenhagen. They were coming to pick us up, and they were going to be the support band, and it had been all worked out with all the managers and agents and everything, that they were going to show up in Denmark, in Copenhagen, pick us up, and then we were going to go do the tour, and then they would drop us off and skedaddle back to Russia. Needless to say, they never showed up ever. Actually, that's not true. 3 days before the last date, they showed up.
Nice.
So we literally had to hitchhike. I'm not even kidding. The first 2 weeks of the tour, until we could get it sorted out, our travel sorted out. And even then, it was 14 people in a 10-passenger van. So that one still takes the cake. But yeah, those poor kids had no idea what they were getting into.
Well, and sometimes you get these crummy buses that have no heat, and you know what I mean, or break down all the time, and you're in the middle of Europe, and what do? I mean, you don't speak the language. If you're in Germany, good luck.
Right.
Trying to use hand signals.
You got to be careful using hand signals in Germany.
Yeah, you don't want to flash the wrong gang sign.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And we did this tour in 2007 with the Pretty Boy Floyd guitar player, Bang Tango guy, and me, and you guys were our backing band. And we toured all over Europe with that too, and that was wild.
Maybe the most fun tour I've ever done.
Yeah, and actually, someone wrote a book about it.
So it seems.
Yeah, some girl that was on the road with us wrote a book about it, and you would never think that in your wildest dreams that you'd be out doing what you do, under the cloak of darkness, and somebody's literally
drawing animated pictures.
Yeah, yeah. This is what you looked like at 4 a.m.
Good times. That was a fun tour.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, tell us about this tour that you're doing. Because
Well,
it's a good tour. I mean, that's
it's
three
good.
good bands.
It's a good tour. It's mostly outdoor stuff, not necessarily sheds, but they're venues that they've either constructed or are there, you know. But it's a lot of outdoor venues, a lot of theaters, and it's good fun. You know, Tom hasn't been out. Everything that Tom's had on the books for the last, I think, 3 years now, he's pretty much shelved because he got COVID and his wife got COVID. You know, sorry. You know, they
You got it too.
but I got it. I think. Well, it's hard to tell. I either got it in New Orleans or after Mardi Gras, or I got it at the last Faster show we did, or I got it coming off the Monsters of Rock cruise. Hard to tell which. But yeah, I got it early on.
Yeah, you're such a joiner, dude, because you got it before everybody. And
one of the first 100 in Los Angeles County to have it. 300
isn't that
people.
weird?
Yeah. And most of the people that I could have got at the airport. That's the other thing. Most of the people, the nurses told me, most of the people that had in the first 300, that caught the virus, the thing, were airport workers. So who knows? I could have caught something at the airport. Who knows?
Yeah. Wow.
So there you go. So anyway, back to the tour.
Yes.
Tom's been out and hasn't done much, and so I know that they're very anxious to get back out on the road and do some stuff. And it's a little bit of a weird tour because they're hubbing out of Nashville's because that's where they all live.
Right.
So they're playing like some weeks it's Wednesday through Saturday, some weeks it's Thursday through Sunday, but then they're going back to Nashville. So that explains why we're like most of the tour is East Coast.
But you guys are going to be playing on the off nights, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. We're going to be playing on the off nights for sure. You know us, we never stop. Once it's up and rolling, keep it going.
Yeah. You guys will do 6, 7, 8, 9, 20 in a row. It's crazy.
Whatever you need.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, honestly, like I was saying earlier, it's just expensive. So days off are expensive. You know, we still have to pay for it whether we're working playing or not. So
no, I get it. I get it. Whatever puts more fuel in the tank to get you to point B. I mean, I totally understand.
Yeah. So that's the way I see it.
Is that your story and you're sticking to it?
That's exactly it. That is exactly my story.
I want to get into one thing. You've worked on movie sets.
Yes, I've done a lot of movie stuff. I do a lot of production assistant work.
And so you've seen some of the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes, I have.
And didn't they ask you at one point to help shelter Britney Spears? They wanted to.
They did.
Was this the baseball bat wielding shaved head Britney Spears, or was this the jailbait slut Britney Spears?
This is a combination. This is the in-between times. So this is
her blue period.
This is right after the Paris Hilton with no panties on, getting out of the car with the three of them in the Lindsay Lohan and whatever, getting out of the car. But after that, but before the baseball wielding shaved head maniac.
See, that's the one I like.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I had the sweet spot. So yeah, I got a call at 3 a.m. Where I live in Los Angeles, across the street, Paris Hilton owned a nightclub, and there was a lot of paparazzi outside, and apparently Britney was in no condition to be seen. And so I knew I had a friend that was on her production crew who was out with her that night and called me and said, "Hey, listen, we may need to sneak her out the back door and into your apartment at 3 a.m. if it all dies down." So Yeah, they wheeled her out of this club and got her into the street and almost to my apartment building.
What like in the Hannibal Lecter
Yes.
thing?
Yeah, I think she was a little more skittish than that. But yeah, they got her halfway there, and then somebody spotted her, and then that was the end of it.
Oh wow.
They had to
Wow.
they had to get Roper, get the cars and do the Charlie Chaplin car race to try to get her in there out.
Wow. What
So,
other
it was a little
tidbits?
Keystone Cops there for a minute.
What other tidbits could you give us without risking a litigation?
Well, let's just put it this way. I've worked with a lot of. Well, I'll go a positive one. Rihanna is pretty much the nicest person I've ever met as a celebrity.
Mhm.
I did a bunch of her Diamond Balls, which is her charity event that she does every year around Christmas time, and I've done 2 or 3 of those. And she always has big stars there, Brad Pitt and Kevin Hart and all those kind of celebrities. But I will say that she is hands down the nicest celebrity I've ever worked for. She was fantastic from beginning to end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How about the not so nice ones?
I'm not going to say who they were for fear of not working again.
Right.
But there's been a lot of music. Let's put it this way. I've done most of the R&B acts in pop right now. I work for the majority of them.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that tend to be not in the news all the time and not so nice, pretty much true.
All right, we were talking about you doing production work for movies and whatnot, and obviously behind the scenes, people aren't as stellar as they are to the public and stuff like that. And to avoid litigation, you have opted to take the Fifth.
I have.
You're invoking your Fifth Amendment right.
I am indeed.
But if you were to allegedly say some fucked up stuff, throw out a few nuggets for the kids.
There was one pop star that will remain nameless, who was very big in the R&B world, and she was supposed to show up at her rehearsals 3 days in a row, and she never showed. The third day that she got there, her bodyguards were bringing her in, and she was in these ridiculous high heels. I mean, they must have been that high. She had a bodyguard on each side of her and a glass of champagne in her hand, and she kept slipping off the shoes. So it was literally like there was a game. It was like Jenga. They were trying to keep her upright without her falling over, her spilling her drink. It was fantastic. It was maybe one of the greatest things I've ever seen. But she was a mess.
Yeah, at a certain point, celebrities, and I don't know because I'm haven't been around it as much, but yeah, I guess they get nutty. You know what I mean? They overdo it and like it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we've seen plenty of the rock world where it just gets to be too much. There's just too much available to you, and you get to the point where your brain just goes, I don't know what's fake and what's real anymore. So we're just gonna roll the dice on this one.
And you're in that weirdo world where everyone's telling you that you're a genius and anything you do, your shit turns to gold. And yeah, I mean, and
that your fucked up behavior is acceptable. I mean, then there's that.
Rock and roll, the effed up behavior used to be acceptable. You used to be able to shit your pants.
Right.
You know what I mean? But nowadays, in the internet, you know what I mean? You have to get off stage to shit your pants.
Yes.
At least
in the parlance of our times.
Yes, indeed. Wow. Well, that's cool. I mean, all right. Well, let's wrap this bad boy up. Your shittiness was duly noted.
Really, truly, Jizzy.
And it's always good to talk to you. And we see each other all the time. when are you gonna move out of that city, dude? When are you gonna?
I'm working on it. I'm working on it. There's something's got to give, and that's probably it. I mean, I think we're all. Look, man. I mean, I love Hollywood. I live, and you will attest to this. I live in the center of Hollywood. We all actually, everybody in Faster does. We are as street rat Hollywood hood rats as it could possibly be, and I have since the day I moved here, and Tammy too. But it's not what we grew up in. It's definitely it has definitely taken a turn. For something.
It's awful.
I don't.
I mean, it's awful. And this is coming from someone that lived in LA forever and ever. You know what I mean? I lived in Hollywood just like you did, right near Guitar Center.
Yeah.
You know, off of Sunset. And it was great. You know, condoms on the ground and needles notwithstanding and
right
and all that stuff. But it's just it's like this dark cloud now. And it's changed and it's not great. It's not great.
Yeah. Now for spending all that money on rent, you can find that. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Now
Go
for
ahead.
spending all that money on rent, you get human feces and the needles inside your apartments, or at least inside the stairwell. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, you really do live in the heart of it for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
I do attest to that. I mean, you're right off of Yucca Street,
Yep.
which is famous.
I am Yucca Man.
You're the new Yucca Man.
Yeah.
I mean, that place for people that don't know was a famous spot for crack and hookers and
whores. Yeah.
And it was I don't know if it's still as bad as it was.
And it served me well for a very long time.
Yeah. Well, it was
But
like a
now
one-stop
it's over.
shop for you.
Yes, right. But now I'm a little over it. It's gotten rough. I mean, it was rough when I moved here, and then it got a lot better, and now it's really rough. Like I came from New York City, and it's not near as rough as, or I mean, this New York City was nowhere near as bad as what LA is right now. It literally is escape from LA. I'm not even kidding.
And you're Snake Plissken.
Yeah, indeed I am.
All right, dude. Well, it's been good talking to you as
too.
usual. And I know we'll see each other on the road this summer. You
We
playing
will.
with Kiefer, me playing this thing with Live to Rock with Skid Row and Warrant. And yeah, good times. It's good to be working, as you know.
It is indeed.
It's always good to be working as a musician. And so let's just say we'll give each other the finger.
Stay shitty, Jizzy.
In a loving way. And I will talk to you soon.
All right, brother.